So this is part 2 of last week, right? Which was adapting and applying that to teaching. So I'll kick it off and then we'll go to you, Ruth, because you have more teaching experience than Kelvin, especially on Zoom right now. Then Kelvin, then Kay, if you want to do a shot at it, or if Andrew joins and he wants to do a shot, we can do that. So to start, we're going to take an idea that I haven't really worked with before. So I noticed earlier today that you can, like a smile can tell a dozen different emotions, depending on how you smile. Like you can show that you're angry, you can show that you're sad, happy, lighthearted, concerned, etc., based on everything else. And it's the same with training. Actually, I should start the clock so I know how long I'm taking. Sorry. What?
Is it a pause in the recording?
No. Mistakes are part of it all. Good for you all to see them. Okay.
Alvin's trying his smiles out to see if you can notice all the different emotions.
But it's true, you can show anger while smiling. You can show concern while smiling. And each one of them, when you do it, it changes you a little bit because you have to remember the emotion that you're trying to show. So you can do the same with stances, right? You can be angry where everything's tense and you're gonna fight. You can be happier about it, more playful. You can try and be calm. You can take more of a concerned kind of feeling to it, where you really are worried about what's going to occur. And the same happens with technique, right? You can do ikkyo in a very angry way, like goes, you drop them hard. You can do it in a playful way where you just kind of seeing what happens. You can do it in a calm way. You can do it in a way that's concerned for the other person. And all of those, when you try them, change you while you're doing that. So, like, I recommend you actually try doing some of these instead of just watching, because I just talk while I'm doing all this stuff. But for me, I notice that my body changes. If I want to do an angry or aggressive version of it, everything in my body changes, right? And I try and get anger or that power in it. If I want to be playful with it, my body is lighter and everything changes in it. The same technique, it just changes how things are occurring. If I'm really concerned for the other person, that changes things too. And suddenly my body's a lot more awake and aware, because I need to know whenever there's any fault and make sure I don't go through that fault, but I adjust. Versus the angry one where you don't care and you drop them because you don't care, because you're angry. With the happy, you tend to, at least for me, I tend to find more things because it's playful. It doesn't matter. And it changes you as a person while you do it at the same time. Just like more of a boxing kind of thing, right? If I box aggressively, it changes me versus if I box playfully, I'm more likely to change playful than when I'm aggressive because I know these things that I do. And to me, it changes my whole mood. The aggressive doesn't make me feel so great, playful. I get more out of, might not be as effective, it's hard to tell. Calm changes my mental state also, and all of my reactions based on it. Scared would also change my reactions, right? None of them are bad. It's about using them. So if somebody gets aggressive and you come in playful, it messes with the person's idea of what's going on because they expect the same thing to occur. If they come in aggressive, they expect you to come in aggressive or to back away, scared. But they don't expect to see aggression matched with playfulness. Those two just don't match for most people. To the same degree, if I come in playful and a person comes gets really defensive, that dynamic is strange. And then it's up to you to decide what you want for the person, right? What do you want to have happen? Do you want them to be thrown off their game? If so, you look at what they're doing and you do something that doesn't match it. And suddenly they're really confused about what's occurring. So that's my little spiel with my little idea. And now we're going to go over to Ruth. And let me pin you. And so this is going to be different than we did last week. So first, I want you to show an idea that you have not taught before and have not taken from another class. So something completely new that's very much you. And we'll do that for 15 minutes and then we'll switch it up.
So maybe, I don't know where it's going, but maybe taking from what you just talked about, this idea of you coming in with a frame of mind and encountering somebody that is in a different frame of mind.
So actually, you're kind of moving on to step 2.
Oh, okay. So tell me what step 1 is. What would you like step 1 to be? That's completely new. I've never done that before.
It's something that is so unrelated to what we're doing, just something that is very much you and something you haven't shown before, something you aren't pulling from another class or another idea.
Talk about
the Monday class right now.
That's right. Well, I've been teaching for such a long time, so that I'm wondering what it is that I haven't taught. But one of the things that actually came to mind, and I know it's actually based on what you were what we were talking about, because as I was trying these different moves and expressions, I realized that there's something that I do that's very much me. and that definitely I haven't done in a very long time, not in Zoom, and I've never really talked about it. But this idea that I love the spaces in between when something is happening. So I love to be in the space before an attack comes, and I don't know what's happening. And also, I love being in that space where I do something and my partner is going to react in a way that I don't know what is going to happen. And I also love to be in the space in between turns when we go from being finish a technique and we're waiting for the second one to come. So one of the things that I do that I actually love doing, and it kind of sets the tone for me, I just love this idea of feeling that I am that I have freedom of movement in my stance. So whether I do this uh, this kind of changing my weight a little bit back and forth in a visual kind of, so it's visually noticeable, or it's smaller. I just like to feel as something is ready to happen that I am free to move in space side to side, and also even though I'm not moving my hands. I get the sense, I imagine that I am moving them already. So, and I'm not trying to let them go anywhere specifically, just getting the sense that that I'm ready, right? So that there's this tingling feeling, there's a little bit of movement inside of my body, inside of my hand, in between my ears, and whenever something is ready to happen. So for example, if let's say a showman comes, then I like to receive it. So it's like this idea of I kind of go forward a little bit to receive it, or I go in a little bit to receive it, and try to, again, even with that, kind of having that feeling that I can move. So even if it ends up being maybe not exactly the same way that I was receiving it, where's the freedom? So showman comes in, I meet it here, I find that something is happening, maybe pushing in this direction, then where's the freedom here to move? So if I need to go down a little bit, if I need to adjust a little bit, what is that I can do? And I try not to get into the mindset of, oh shucks, my partner is not doing what I'm expecting, but rather like kind of welcoming. I tend to smile a lot when I train, but not so much when I teach. So that's a great reminder, right? So doing that. And then from here, I move in this direction a little bit. So how can I engage and do something? So maybe here is just this idea of welcoming the anticipation and noticing first where the body is alive, right? So I don't know if you want to go into a particular technique, but let's say it's going to be Shomenuchi Riminage, and perhaps not just, so if I am in right hanmi here and Shomen is coming in this direction, then it's not so much about having this idea in your mind that this is what Iriminage is going to look like, but what it could look like. So coming in and your partner actually gets you off balance in this direction as it strikes, it gets you off here. So you are now perhaps turning away from your partner. So where can you start shifting your weight, leaving this where it is, right? But having kind of a joyous thing. So if you're gonna go behind, then again, have the sense of where they are, where their position is, and adapt for the throw. And do this on the other side. And again, as you finish the technique, perhaps the idea is not, I finished, and totally disconnect but really think that the space in between is that opportunity again to get that sense of kind of good expectation that something really great is going to happen. So you do the technique, and from here, figure out a way that you can turn or into the next position. So when the next one comes in, you can again create this new experience that is different, might be different than the one before. Right? And so you can come in and actually even sometimes invite them in to do that. And as they're down, you look at them, help them come up and throw, and be ready for the next one that maybe is going to look different than the one before. And come back in, big smile here. Oh, sucks, it's different. Whoa, here. And maybe you turn to the other side and the urinage comes from the other side. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And you can make sound effects like, whoa. And, ooh.
I always make sound effects on the mat.
Down. And around. God, I haven't done Swaryawaza in a million years. And coming up, and here it goes. And then change from being nage to taking the ukemi. And in this case, maybe the same idea as uke is that the attack is an opportunity for, again, engaging your whole body, your whole being, and really having, I sometimes say in class that you should, when you are training with somebody, you should be studying them as if they are this most amazing creature that you have ever encountered, and that every single thing they do is of utmost interest and curiosity and delight, right? As opposed to going, oh, this is not what I want, or this is not going this way. So again, coming in with the showman, so you attack and whatever is coming, be willing to receive it, but also keep checking in where you are. How are you losing your balance? How can you keep your own integrity without taking it away from your partner who is practicing the technique? So you start by giving a good attack, whatever the attack is at that moment, whether it's going to be a kind of more of a motion or a flowing attack in which you give your balance and you're ready to receive, or if it is one in which you plant yourself, then if you're doing that and if you're really holding the ground and keeping your posture, then notice when your partner does something, how that affects your body, and go like, ooh, that feels kind of nice. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this. And oh, he's going this way. Oh, that's interesting. My body is going in this direction. And now it's turning this way. I never took this thing, pinches my back a little bit. How can I readjust and regain my balance? So in both cases, it doesn't matter whether you're uke or nage, that sense of, wow, this is something that was not expected, but it can be delightful. And if it is not delightful, how can I make it delightful? Whoa. for a minute, just maybe kind of reverse this a little bit and actually do the same thing. So being okay for a moment and actually resist and feel it in your body, how much you pay for this resistance, this inability to be moved, this inability to kind of have a conversation that is a physical conversation, but it transcends that a little bit. And notice, where can you soften? Where can you open? Where can you sink in? Where can you expand? So that you can get away from that sense of constraint into a sense of movement. Really get into a place where you're not allowing anything to move you. And notice the price that you pay here in being immobile. And then maybe look around the room and see all the other things that are moving or the other things that are free. And then make yourself free. My time up?
Pretty close. So that first part, well, you're going to be on in a second, so keep it on you. The first part that we just did is so that you can come up with an idea quickly and work through it. This next part, which is what you kind of started with, is adaptability. So now you have your idea and you have the idea I started with. How do you put them together? So for like the next 5 minutes, lead us through a way that they've been put together.
Okay, so do you want me to kind of blend those two ideas together?
Yep.
Okay, so let's say that, I have this kind of this openness and playfulness in mind. I want to have a really great idea and idea coming in and with this open mind and including and whatnot. And I have somebody across from me who is big and strong and really had a crappy day. And they come in with this fast and furious showman that kind of barely I get kind of time to get off of harm. And I notice that everything is stiff here, and it doesn't move. There's no engagement. So I try from this place perhaps to see again what it is that I can do and what I would like if it is, again, if we're doing Unagi just as an example here, I really feel there's a wall here that I cannot move. I try to see where it is that I can go. And then I actually try to be, if I can, I try to be really soft here. And perhaps the quality, I would think that the quality of the touch to the person's shoulder, his behind shoulder, it's really important here. And I would go very, very soft and try to not just put the hand on their shoulder, but maybe get my forearm also on the shoulder. And if anything, just kind of, it's not a caress per se, but really a sense of just having a human connection, a really soft, it has an intention. It's not shying away from whatever it is, but it's not trying to move them. And then I'll try to see if there's a way that I can get them to move. So here I am just rotating my hips a little bit and maybe the slightest. So again, my forearm is against their back and it's very light, not putting any pressure. And I'm trying to see if they're moving. If there is nothing there, nothing is happening there. This person is not budging, it's not suffering or anything like that. I myself would just kind of go back and say, could you do the other side? So no judgment here, no anything, just the other side. And then they coming in again, fast and furious. Here, I do the same thing on the other side. So first, try to it's just a human connection here. There's nothing. I'm not trying to do anything. And then see if there is any possibility here of movement that in many ways it's their reaction to this human connection here. And if there's something, a slight movement, then I would allow them to continue that to whatever it is that is the resolution of that. But if there isn't, I would step away, reset, and say, could you try on the other side? And I wouldn't try to modify anything or even say anything about, why are you being this way? Why are you, what's going on? If it is somebody that I know and I feel comfortable with, then perhaps as I do my entry here and I have a human touch, I would say, do you have a hard day, or is there anything that I can do here that you would like, a movement that would feel good for you, in which case they might say that there's something they would like me to, I don't know, go one way or the other way, and I would just listen to that and do that. So that would be my choice.
Cool. All right, so I am going to do another quick idea. So put your arm out. Let it fall and feel how it pulls your body. And then take your other hand, let the top hand fall, hit the other hand, so it pulls a little bit more. But the hand that's out doesn't start falling until it gets hit. And this is to help feel how everything's connected, kind of. And if you change where it is and how it falls, your body reacts accordingly, probably. If you add a little extra force to that hand as it's dropping, the effect on you is greater.
Ow, Gary.
So
Feels.
So you can use that kind of feeling when you're doing technique, when you're taking kemi. You feel how everything in your body starts to move and you know what's going to happen. So that's the new short idea. So like my part here, I'm running through quickly so that we can get to Kelvin. So then how do I put that into everything else? So I have that, I'm hitting it and it drops. Hitting it, drops. What happens if I bring up kind of aggression or anger, which tightens everything, and I hit it? How does that affect my body? If I am more relaxed and kind of playful, hit it. How does that affect my body? And to me, they're very different. When I'm playful, I adapt. When I'm aggressive, my whole body just gets hit. And then I need to also be interested in what's happening and be completely aware of it. So can I do the same thing, but now right before the impact, create that reaction in my body, right? So if I'm aggressive, it's the same kind of reaction that occurs when I'm aggressive, because I'm learning. When I do it naturally and just let it occur, aggressive or not, I feel what happens in the body and I learn. So then with that knowledge and that intention that I had initially, I can do it before contact. And again, with Ukemi and Nage, you can do that. You can tell what's going to occur from the person and go before it if you want. You can let it hit your body if you want. You can go against it, right? So I know that's going to occur if I'm aggressive because this is falling. So I could actually meet to stop that reaction in my body a little bit more, right? So when this falls, I hit it. So you can look at any part of it. So there we have the different emotions affecting things, and we have that initial intention or awareness to the other person, plus my body being affected by an impact. So that's all so far. I think that's everything put together. So Kelvin, it's now going to be you. And
Oh, you can spotlight Ruth.
oh, okay. And something completely new.
Grab a Boken or a Joe or a Shota. The shorter variation, either Boken or whatever, will probably work better. We oftentimes learn to lead with the lower body, and that's kind of what we're taught. So today I kind of want to work on seeing what happens if you lead with the upper body, but to still be able to move with sort of balance. So actually, what I found interesting to do is to hold a sword kind of like this, and basically with one side you're going to pull the sword out to try to do a strike. You're going to have the other side kind of hold it back. And at some point you can let the release, and your body should follow that release. And see if you can, to the extent that you can, recover with your lower body. And part of this is to have essentially a heavy upper body. So you kind of want your upper body to be like the ball of a ball and chain. And you want your lower body to be this thing that balances, that catches you, as this heavy upper body is kind of smashing around the room. And when you get tired of that, you can do a more classic hold of your sword. And now do the same thing with, say, a yokomen or shomenka, where your And this time, instead of letting go with the hand, both will hold on, but you'll just let your forward, that's pulling hand, you'll just let it win. So that effectively your cut ends up driving your body forward. You almost lose your balance, but not quite.
That's nice.
Yeah, huh?
Very nice cough line.
Hmm?
Very nice cough line. That
Yeah. He said he just wanted to get, since he had to take that brace out,
I didn't know that.
he
Okay.
had to take that out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if you haven't tried with Showman, try with Showman. I find that with Showman, what's interesting, it causes me to almost bounce into a crouch or to fall and then kind of to catch myself with my feet. Be kind to your legs. So for me, it almost is like the feeling of one arm is nage and the other arm is uke. And the arm is pretty much moving my whole body as if the arm that's driving the movement is nage and the arm that's holding on to the other side of the sword is the uke side almost. Kind of feels like that.
Ceilings. All right. So then put it together with everything else.
Sure. So now, see if you can play the role of a happy uke and a happy nage, a sad uke and a happy nage, an angry or aggressive nage, and an angry and aggressive uke. Because with this kind of an exercise, you get to be both. So what happens if you are angry or aggressive in the way that you drive this sword forward? So you can imagine that there's somebody on the other side that's going to be receiving this cut. Or maybe you can be a little more inquisitive or curious, like almost like, oh, I wonder what happens if I let this go. And maybe the interesting thing to incorporate this with Ruth's idea is as you're setting up your strike, see if the side of your body that's going to be uke, how does that part of your body anticipate? You kind of have a clue already as to how this is going to go because you're kind of pulling the hilt of the sword a little bit, but can you maintain that sort of openness to being moved? And does that have any effect on what happens after the cut? And I guess I'm finding that for me, since I am actually just one person and not two people, that curiosity of what's going to happen kind of causes my nage side to go a little schizophrenic in terms of, oh, maybe actually I don't want to cut in that direction. Maybe I want to cut in a different direction.
You thought about, since you have nothing to pay on the sword,
Mhm.
of actually having these feelings or approaches to be manifested in the two hands as opposed to somebody else. So,
Yes, that's kind of like one versus the other. That's kind of what I was starting with. But I'd said maybe it might help initially if you're trying to do just one, like if you're trying to do just the nage side, it might help to focus externally. But then I sort of kind of got the idea, oh, actually, since you are both people, you can actually focus on yourself as the target almost. And Kathy, I see you just joined. So the exercise, for the most part, starts with just this idea of having upper body drive, actually. So having a heavy upper body. And we'll simulate that ourselves effectively by holding a sword or a jokin like this. The lower hand is going to pull as if to do a cut. The other hand is going to try to prevent it. And at some point, you'll just let go and allow your body to be affected by that movement. Do that for a little bit just to get the feeling. And ideally, your lower body is very light. So the analogy I was using is your upper body is like the ball of a ball and chain, and your lower body is kind of just the chain. So you have this very heavy upper body that's moving, and your legs are catching you. Your legs are keeping your balance, even as this very unwieldy upper body is moving around. And that's just warm up. That's just getting the feeling. And once you've gotten that feeling, you do a more standard hold now where you hold the bokken like with a normal grip. And you're going to do the same thing where you pull from the lower end of the hilt. And instead of just letting go, you're actually just going to let it win. So you end up cutting your own body almost.
Cool. So you're going to come up with an idea that you have not taught before and have not seen taught before. You're going to go through it for a few minutes, and then you're going to tie it all in with everything else that we've done.
Ooh.
So something uniquely you.
So, in trying to stay stable,
Mhm.
um, yeah, we do that all the time. Let's see. How do I send out energy and come back in? I am in harmony, if that makes a difference.
Okay.
Without lifting your feet. I'm exhaling a lot when I do fly the arms.
So what are you doing to send energy out?
I'm sorry, what am I doing?
To send energy out, because that's what you said, right?
Yeah. I'm taking in a huge breath and then expelling it.
Okay.
I'm also rocking, but I'm keeping my feet right on the floor. That's a lot of energy.
All right. So then the next step is the things that we did throughout class, which you didn't get to see all of. One of them was how does emotion change what you do? Like if you're angry, it looks different than if you're playful, than if you're curious, or etc. Right? The emotion itself changes your body. Same with if you do EQ angry versus doing EQ curious, your body changes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Then Ruth was doing the moment either of impact or right before contact. You're being very curious as to what's occurring, and you are very attentive to what's occurring and how it's happening to your body, and you're listening basically. Then after that, put my arm out, hit it, and feel how it affects my body. So this arm drops. I'm going to hit it to add a little extra power to see how my body moves. And then after that, we did holding the boken, creating the tension on both sides, trying to get your upper body heavy, releasing with one side, and letting it follow through. And that turned into a more traditional fold where one side is nage and one side is uke. But same idea where the nage side is heavy and pulls and the uke side responds in some fashion. So those are the ideas, plus the sending energy out. How do you combine all of them together into one new thing?
How do I put it all together?
Yep.
With what I was doing?
Yep. So it'll end up being something new, but with everything together.
So if I'm doing that, and I'm curious, lifting what, letting, pivoting on one foot. A little ballet. And then I guess if I were angry, it wouldn't be so flowing.
Yep.
Is that where we're going? Am I going the right direction?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically just taking everything that occurred before and putting it into what you have. So you have this new thing that encompasses all of it. That will technically be uniquely you because it's how you interpret everything going together.
Ooh.
Cool.
Okay.
So main purpose behind all of it, the first part is how do you, in the moment or under pressure, come up with something completely new to explore. For teaching, that's great, but even for training, that's great. If you're being, so you're uke, something's happening to you. If you can come up with something completely new in that moment, chances are you will change the whole situation. Same with nage. They come in, we think we're going to do ikkyo, but instead, we drop the elbow, hit them, whatever. It changes everything. And it's not something people normally can adapt to. On the other side, the second part is adaptation. How do you take whatever's occurring and add it into whatever you want to occur or whatever you're thinking about? And again, if you're teaching, it's great, especially at seminars, if you can build off of everything that came before. It's awesome. And it helps everybody who's attending the seminar, because now they have this idea that has parts of everything, so it's easier to remember. If you're going to a seminar to train, you can take the interesting concept from every instructor, combine it into one thing, and remember it, especially because it will be your own interpretation of it. So it ends up being your own thing. It's easier to integrate into your own body, and so on. With standard training, you're coming in, they're doing EQ, and you decide that you want a Riminage to occur. You take what they're doing and add it to a Riminage and make a Riminage occur. So it affects both the instruction and training in general. And that was the idea of what we're working on. And now I will stop recording.